Today we are talking about relationships and money, specifically currencies. This year, the US dollar made a substantial move upward, increasing holders' relative spending power. The big caveat, however, is that given the level of inflation, as US based consumers, we really don't feel the benefit of a stronger dollar on a day to day basis. Let's define our key words currency and relative before we get too deep, as these concepts can get muddy. Currencies like the US dollar are always quoted relative to another currency, such as the European euro, the British pound, or the Japanese yen. You see, when it comes to money, its value is always relative or in exchange for some other good, service, or asset. Here's a simple example. If I want to buy a single euro, it costs me about $1. This comparison is no different than saying I want to buy 1 gallon of gas and it will cost me about $3.75. 1 to 1 or 1 to 375, both are exchange rates of dollars for another asset. And importantly, these exchange rates fluctuate based on supply and demand of each. Now let's take a look at the US dollar in comparison to other currencies. This year, the US dollar has appreciated relative to other currencies. This is because US dollars have increased demand in the global marketplace. Again, given the level of inflation in the US and overseas, you may not be feeling this increase in relative spending power. That's understandable. If we zoom out, however, we can see that the US dollar has trended up and to the right over the past 10 years. Again, this is relative to other currencies. As a result, we are now at levels not seen since the early 2000s. So why has the dollar moved so much higher this year? One reason is that US Treasuries, which are currently among the highest quality in the world, have been offering higher yields than other countries' bonds. International investors seeking yield and safety continue to desire US Treasury bonds and need US dollars to purchase them. A second reason is that oil globally has been priced in US dollars. This has been the case since the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II. Any oil buyer across the world must first convert their own currency into US dollars before purchasing oil. The US dollar to hydrocarbon relationship has long created natural buyers of US dollars. Will it always be this way? Well, we certainly can't say. However, recent geopolitical events has brought this very topic to the surface. Here in the US of A, most of us earn and spend in US dollars. So US dollar rising compared to other currencies doesn't really impact us day to day, except if we travel to other countries that use a different currency. There we would see that our US dollars can go farther. This increased purchasing power might get you a better fish and chip price than a few years ago. So besides traveling to other countries, where do we see the impacts of currency movements? Well, as investors. Investors feel the effects of currency movements when they own non US companies or US multinational companies that generate revenues from outside of the US. A rising US dollar can reduce the performance of international investments. Conversely, a declining US dollar is a tailwind and can increase the performance of an international investment. Does the US dollar's relative strength mean changes to the long term investment plan? Well, we don't think so. We believe global diversification is an important part of a well diversified portfolio and that investors will benefit over the long term. This large move up in the US dollar has been a headwind this year. However, this won't always be the case. Let's recap. The purchasing power of a single dollar, while not what it used to be in terms of inflation, has increased relative to many other currencies. We believe international investments are an essential part of a well diversified portfolio. About 40% of the world's investment opportunities now reside outside of the US. Today's headwinds are tomorrow's tailwinds. Similar to a pendulum swinging side to side, we believe the US dollar at some point will begin to revert back. And lastly, looking through the lens of bucket-based investing, we believe the key for currency diversification and international investments is position sizing appropriately, rebalancing as opportunities arise, and investing using segments of the portfolio that have a longer term time horizon.